Hey, good afternoon. In this webinar, we're going to be going over creating custom line types using Express tools and CTC tools. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm a Civil Technical Specialist with ATG USA. I have 3 years AutoCAD experience and Civil 3D experience, general IT knowledge, a little bit of Revit experience, and a couple of years of 3D modeling and 3D printing as a hobby. Today what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be creating line types using shapes and lines. We're going to be using the .shp files from creating those shapes to create line types out of those. Briefly touching on .lin files, exploring CTC tools that can help with creating line types as well. We're going to be creating, our workflow today is going to be creating a new line type using Express tools. Again, we're going to be using .shp files to add objects, any objects that we can create using shape files, creating those and adding them to new line types. We'll also look at editing line types in the .lin file. We can copy line types and then edit those copied line types to create new ones. So we'll do that too. And then we're also going to explore the CIM Manager Suite, Line Type Manager, and the so we can edit line types through that as well. Alright, with all that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the demonstration portion of the webinar here. Close out of this. Alright, so as you see here, we have multiple different types of line types here. However, none of them are actually created yet, as you can see. So I'm going to start up here with the first one here labeled as custom line type, and this doesn't mean anything. I literally just did a random line creation here, so there's no meaning behind this line at all. So we're going to get started by going up to Express Tools above the ribbon here, and then you're going to go over to Tools, hit the drop down flyout arrow here, go hit Make Line Type. Alright, so that's going to pull up we're going to want you to save a .lin file. So I'm just going to add that into my Create Custom Line Types for this webinar. Place this wherever you want and name it however you want as well. After these are created, you can copy these ones or the ones that you like, and you can put those into your default .lin folder, and I'll show you where that is in a little bit. So for now, I'm just going to hit save into that location. It's going to ask me to enter a line type name, and I'm just going to say new line type. I would never call a new line this, but for now, we're just going to call it that. Enter a line type description, dashed, and I'll call it new dashed. Alright, hit enter here, specify starting point for line definition. So here, you want to start at the beginning of the line here, and then start at the very beginning of the last line that you want to get, because this line here is essentially just the recreation of this line at the start. So we're going to select here. Now it's going to ask you to select all the objects, and we're going to select all the objects, not this piece, but all the objects that we want to add in. Alright, hit spacebar again, and now it says the new line type's been created. And let's open up the .lin folder, and you'll notice in here .lin created custom line types .lin has been added into here. That's where it's going to reside. If I select this line here, go over to my properties, go to line type here, new line type. I'll expand this so you can see it a little easier. New line type's been added. Alright. Let's stretch that out. Alright, next up, let's go down to our gas line here. So we want to add some words. You can add any type of words that you want into this. I'm just going to use a generic gas line here. So with the gas line, there's a little caveat that you want to make sure that you have, and that's up in the, let's go to our annotate, and then go to text drop down arrow. You want to make sure that your line type or your font name is a .shx file. If you do not have a .shx file as your font, then you're going to want to create one with the new here, and then just scroll through until you find one. Standard out of the box AutoCAD is going to come with a .shx file, so I'm just going to use that for now. I could create a new one and then just go back to this one, but for this it's going to be fine just using this standard line type. So again, if you're going to put text into your line type, you want to make sure you have a .shx line type or font. Also, you want to make sure that the size is at height 0 as well. Alright, with that being said, we're going to be doing the same thing that we did with the one above. We're going to go up to Express Tools. The tools fly out here. Go to Make Line. It's going to ask us where we want to save it again, and I'm just going to save it right into that custom create custom linetypes.lin folder that we created on the previous line. What this is going to do is just going to add keep adding to this .lin file, and we can copy these and put them in the default location a little bit later for the ones that we like. So I'm going to save it here. It's going to ask if you want to, it already exists, you want to replace it. You're just going to say yes. It's not going to delete this one, it's just going to add to it. Again, down here at the command bar, it's going to ask you to enter your line type name, and I'm just going to do new gas. Enter a line type description, gas line. And now it's going to ask for the definition. For this one, I'm going to start at the beginning of the line here. We're going to go past the gas and go at the start of the last line. Right there. It's going to ask us to select our objects. Alright, you want to select that first line and the gas text as well. Hit spacebar to finish that. And now if we select this line, we can go to line type here in the properties, and we can change it over here. New gas line. Stretch this out, show you that it worked. Alright. Now here we go. Now this is using a line type with a symbol or some kind of a shape of some sort. Now I just created an arrow, flow arrow, and simply for this demonstration. So, and right now actually these are just polylines, so they it hasn't been turned into a shape just yet. So to get started here, we're going to go to Express Tools to turn this into a shape. We're going to go to Express Tools, then the tools fly out here. Go down to Make a Shape. It's going to ask you where you want to put this, and I'm just going to put it in my same folder that I've been putting my line type in. I'm going to hit Save. Create custom line type shape. Alright, it's going to ask you what your shape name is going to be, and I'm just going to call it new arrow. Resolution, keep it at 128. No reason to change it for any other, there's not going to do anything. Just go ahead and keep it at the default 128. Specify insertion point. I'm just going to pick the middle here. Alright, then it's going to select objects, select the arrow here, and then spacebar. And now the new shape has been created. To get it in here, we're going to type in shape, shape name, new arrow. And there we have it. And I keep all the defaults here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and replace the arrow that I have here with this one. So now we have two lines and a shapefile with being our arrow. So from here, we're just going to go up just the same way that we did all these other ones. We're going to create a line using now our shape and our line, or our new line type using our shape and our two lines that we got here. We're going to go tool, flyout, make line type. It's going to ask you where you want to save it again. Again, I'm going to save it in the same folder that I have before. Replace it, yes. Line type name. Flow arrow, flow direction, alright, we're going to start at the beginning of the line here, go to the beginning of the last line, select our objects, so we're going to select that shape that we created in the line. Spacebar one more time, and it now has been created. So if we go here to this line here, go to our properties, line type, we'll see here we got flow arrow that we can stretch out, and now we got flow arrows going all which way. You can have it go in the opposite direction if you need to. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the .lin folder that I used to create these here. All that's going to do is open it up in Notepad. And as you can see here, we have the new line type that we created, the gas line that we created, and the arrow using the shapefile that we created. So let's say that we were fine with all of these and we wanted to add them to our default .lin folder. So where do we go to get that at? I'll try to shrink this up here so we can see the path that I have on here. Alright, so this is the default location for the acad.lin folder. So it's going to be C drive, users, username. So this username is going to be the username that you used for your computer. So it's not going to be username, or at least it shouldn't be. Then it's going to be app data, roaming, Autodesk, Autocad, the year that you're using or you're editing. So it could be 2019, it could be 2021. Then this number here, NU support. Alright, so how do we get there? And also app data is going to be, you may not see it, and I'll show you how you can find that app data folder as well. So first off, we're going to go to our C drive, just like it says here. We're going to go down to users. Alright, and now username. So this is going, since mine's psmith, that's the username that I use to log into the computer here. So yours may say something different. Get with your IT if you're not sure. So we're going to double click on there. Next is going to be app data. Alright, so app data, you can see, is a little faded. The folder here is a little faded. That's because it's a hidden file. Alright, and if you do not see it in this location, it's because your hidden files are not turned on so that you can see them. The way that we can go about doing this is going to the Start button, and we'll go to the Start button here and do File, Explore, Options. So we'll bring this over here, and we're going to click on the View tab here. So once clicked on the View tab here, scroll down here until you get to where it says Hidden Files and Folders. So if you do not see the app data, it's because you have this one selected. Don't show hidden files, folders, or drives. And we're going to go to Show Hidden Files, Folders, and Drives. This is going to allow you to see the app data folder. And you're going to hit OK. Alright, and your app data should now be visible for you to find in this location here. So once you do that, you're going to go into app data, roaming, Autodesk, the year of Autocad that you're using. So for this example, this webinar, we're using Autodesk Civil 3D 2020. Alright, so we're going to go to Autocad 2020. Click on that, and then Support. Here, if we scroll down a bit, acad.lin right here. So these are all your default AutoCAD line types. Now from here, you can go ahead and take the ones that you wanted to. Now I'm not too happy with what we have here. I'm not going to add these to my default AutoCAD just because I try to keep it as out of the box as possible. So, but if you did this, you would want to grab all of this starting from the star here all the way down, right click and copy, and then you're just going to want to start a new line and then paste that in there. Alright, so if you wanted that flow direction in there, or if you wanted those other two that we created, that's all you'd have to do. And then you would hit File and then Save here. Except I don't want to save it in there, so I'm just going to delete that out of there. And then exit out of here. Hit Save, yes. I'm not going to save it. And now it's in your default location, and if you didn't want any of these anymore, you can go ahead and delete these from your save location. So at this point you would be able to just delete the created custom linetypes.lin folder right here. Alright, so let's open up one of the acad.lin folders and let's see if we can try to figure out how to read these, because you can also create line types just by using this notepad here. Let's try to find one here. Let's just use this hidden here. Alright, So this is pretty simple. So if I scroll over to this location here, what this, and this right here, this is this diagram that I got here, these measurements and all. What this is saying is this is 5 units long, 0.5 units long, 2 units long for this line here, 0.5 units long. And technically these 0.5s should be negative 0.5s. And I'll show you why that is in just a second. So these 0.5s should be negative 0.5s. So if I show you here, with the default hidden line type, you have A, so the A is going to stand for alignment. And then you have 0.25, which is going to be a positive 0.25, which means it wants a line. And then it's going to be a negative 0.125. And now that negative is going to be the space in between the lines. So whenever you have a negative, you're going to have a space. And then you're going to have the length of how long you want it to go. And then it just repeats from there. So just a simple repeat over and over again. Same thing goes with the hidden 2. Alright, and as you can see down here, phantom line, you got A for alignment, and now all these all have A at the beginning of them. So if you're creating a brand new one, just put A in front of it. Alright, and so you got 1.25 for the length of the first line. Then you got a comma. Then you have a negative 0.25 being the space in between. And then you have a positive 0.25, which is going to be the length of the line, the next line. And then you have a negative 0.25, and then so on and so forth. I think you get the idea from here. Alright. So that's how you read a... how you can kind of read these. Now they do get kind of complicated. Alright, as you get down into shape files and such. So, and some of these, so let's take this fence line here, fence line 2. It's going to have boxes in there for the fence posts. Alright, so it's going to say box, it's the name of the shape. It's going to say it's the location, or well, it's going to say it's a line type shape file here. S is going to be for the scale of the box, so it's at a 0.1 scale factor. X being X and Y axis, so the X where it's residing on that X axis is negative 0.1, and then on the Y axis is 0. And then R, I believe, is for I'll have to come back to that, what the R is for here. I wasn't able to find anything on that one. And then you have the negative 0.1. Remember, the negative is going to be a space, so it's saying that it wants to have a space after the box of negative 0.1, and then it's going to be a comma, and then a 1 being a positive 1, being that there's a line going after the space. Well, that's a lot of information there. So if you wanted to recreate these, my advice, if all you're using is a .lin file, is find something that you are kind of wanting to create. Say a hidden line here, or the dots here, even the divided dots here, since this is kind of simple to read. Just copy this, bring it down to the bottom, paste it in. You can rename it here. So this first name here is how you're going to see it in the properties menu as you go to Linetype, so just keep that in mind. The divide is going to be the description. So the description of the line type that you see. And then then you'll have a space here, and then everything after this will be in the description key as you look through your line type manager. So actually in the line type manager inside of Civil 3D, you'll actually see this guy right here as your description. Alright, so if you wanted to edit these, then you just go ahead and edit these numbers here however you see fit for the new divide, or however you wanted to change these up for a new line type. Alright, and before I get going here, I wanted to get back to what the R stands for, and actually the R stands for rotation. Alright, so that does make sense for a shapefile. So R for rotation, so 0 for rotation on a lot of these. Alright. Alright, so we're going to close out of here. Not going to do any saving. So next up I want to show you what our Sim Manager Suite line type manager can do. Alright, and I'll show you where you can get this. This is actually a free program here, or a free module that you can add to Civil 3D. You'll do a free trial for all of this, but you'll actually be able to keep the line type manager, so keep that in mind. Alright, so we're going to click on line type manager. It's going to open up. Alright, so here I'm just going to go and find the regular open, use that path that I used before, users, what I'm doing here is I'm just opening up the default acad.lin folder. Alright, so with this line type manager here, if you wanted to get a tutorial on it that's a little more in depth than what I'll be going over, you can actually click on the YouTube video here, and all these tools that we have here, they all have tutorial videos on them. You can talk to support, you can get the information on the different versions that you have right now, or if you need to update a version, yada yada. So here in this line type manager, let me see if I can make it just a little bit bigger. You'll notice down here you have a preview of that line, so let's go to center something. Alright, you have the preview of the line here. You can change the scale factor for that line, make it a little bit bigger if you wanted to. Alright, you can also go to edit that line type, and here, as you notice, instead of using negatives on this one, it actually allows you to just put it in a space. You know, after going through that .lin folder, you might notice how this makes a little sense here. Alright, so here we got a line that's 0.125, then we have a space that's 0.25 space in between the two lines here, and then another line here, 0.25, and then a space, and then it repeats. Alright, so I'm going to go down to tracks, and I'm just going to edit this one out. I'm going to go to edit. Alright. Notice here we got track name here. We got track shape file, which is going to be the line going up and down. So that's going to be the shape. Now let's say that we wanted to, let's just delete all these out and just see what we can come up with. Alright, let's add a line here. We're going to move this up to the top. We're going to do 2. Now we're going to add a space into there. If you notice down here, as I create these, you'll notice the preview starting to work out here. Space, let's do 0.5 space. Alright, now I'm going to have my track, and now I'm just going to do another space. Select the space there and do 0.5. Add in the other line. We'll do 2. Oh, hit the wrong one there. 0.5. Alright. So you can change, you see how this works out though. You can change these lines however you want. So now you just have longer lines in between the vertical lines here. But this can be, you can get very in depth with this. You can add in shape files just like you have here, so you can search out for your shape file. Add those shapes in here. If we did OK, and then it adds it in here just as I did. Alright, and then you can say also add to DWG. If you didn't want to save it to your .lin folder, you just add it to the DWG that is present. You can do that here too. Alright. I'm not going to save that track. I don't want to overwrite the .lin file, acad.lin file. And just while I'm sitting here waiting for comments to come in, I'm just going to create a simple, funny new line type here. So just bear with me as I do this here. Just show you how quick this can be done. Again, we'll go to Express Tools, make a shape. Let's create a line out of this. Insertion point. There it is. Make line type. Save it. Happy face. Alright, there you go. And I don't see too many comments coming in. So, with that being said, alright, open up this back again. Again, we use CTC Sim Manager Suite Linetype Manager. This is a free download. I will show you where you can get that right now. If you wanted to check that out, you can go to atg.com. Alright, go to Products. Click on Products there. Scroll on down until you get to here, CTC Tools, Sim Manager Suite. Let my slow internet go ahead and take over. Alright. And then here you can try for free. Alright, this is, and then again, that's Linetype Manager, you'll be able to keep this. So there's no reason why not to give this a shot. So when your free trial runs out, you'll still have your Linetype Manager that you can use. And with that, I want to say thanks for your time and farewell.